Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios.
Stone whips it ahead. Smith comes down the slot, fakes, and scores! Riley Smith on the backhand. A breakaway, and the Knights are on the board.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Flames lose it at center. Marner comes in, curls to the outside right, feeds the middle, and a try by Korzak. Score!
With Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Hannafin straight on, shoots, wide left. Now a rebound, score! Stone plays the deflection.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Daren Millard hanging out inside T-Mobile Arena. Jared Justice, he's back inside the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios. Richard Harris Law Firm, where they've won billions for their clients with their less fee guarantee. Happy game day. How we doing, boys?
Yeah, we're at T-Mobile Arena to wrap up this 4-game homestand for the Vegas Golden Knights. John Shannon will stop by, our NHL insider, a little bit after 4:25, and then we will also get you into one-timers, news and notes from around the National Hockey League. It is a 14-game night in the NHL, and all 14 games have playoff implications. I was talking to somebody from the NHL's hockey operations department that works in the Situation Room every night on the way into the rink today, and they said they've been around the National Hockey League's hockey operations role for 25 years. They've never seen a stretch drive like this, and tonight kind of epitomizes what the National Hockey League is experiencing, and people want to change this playoff format. Not a chance. Not when you get races like this, including the Vegas Golden Knights, who, with a victory tonight, can go undefeated to regulation in the 4-game homestand. It would be 2-0-2. But more importantly, you would get within a point of the Edmonton Oilers, and you would climb that much closer to the Anaheim Ducks, who left points on the board last night. Would you be 3 points back of first place with a win tonight, with some momentum going into the road trip, the 3-game road trip, the last road trip of the season. So things are opening up for Vegas going into this game tonight. There's opportunity in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is for the Golden Knights, you look no further than your next game after this one against Calgary, right? You win this game against Calgary, you set up a really good opportunity to even narrow that gap even more against the Edmonton Oilers, who have 85 points. If you can pick up 2, you're 84, you're 1 point back, and you've got a date with the Oilers on Saturday.
Now, Edmonton also plays tonight, so you have to factor in that. So I'm more looking at the race for first place tonight because Anaheim's one of the few teams that are idle tonight. So everybody from Edmonton, Vegas, into the 2 wildcard teams and the chase clubs that are outside are all in action tonight. You should take a screen grab of the standings right now and then look at the standings in 7 hours and see what they are. There's a chance that there could be a massive amount of movement tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you look at just the way that it's gone over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, really. There's been movement almost every single day. But, when you factor in Los Angeles and Utah and San Jose and Nashville, like all these teams that are right around it, like it has the potential to really be a day that changes some things, at least for the next 24 hours. Because every time we've got big games, big-time schedules, 14-game days, it has the potential to do this the rest of the way.
And the schedule does work in the Golden Knights' favor. We've talked about how in the final 8 there was only 2 playoff teams included in that. 5 of the 7 games remaining are against non-playoff teams. Vegas has a good record against Calgary overall, especially here at home at T-Mobile Arena. And then you get into the idea of being good against the Pacific Division. There's a stacked number of games against teams within the division in the final 7. The Golden Knights have a very solid record inside the division this year, even in a year where there's been perceived struggles. They've still done a great job inside their loop, which is an improved loop. So there's a lot of reasons to have optimism about the Golden Knights climbing up the standings. The first order of business is you do want to catch Edmonton. Second challenge would be trying to track down the Anaheim Ducks, and both of those goals will be aided big time with a victory tonight. And then if you focus on Edmonton, whether it's 3 points or whether it's 1 point, the difference, or it could be two, sure, depending on how things go, going into the game on Saturday, then you look at that as one of the biggest games of the year. But that will be because of positional implications of the game, impact on the standings. We've had big games. We've talked about it. The game against Dallas was a huge game because it was coming off the contest against Nashville. There's been some big games because of how they were playing and how they needed a result. Saturday will be a massive game just because of the traditional race for in the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, and you mentioned it, the order of business for the Golden Knights very simply is go out and win this game against Calgary, right? Like, go out and get 2 points. Finish this homestand with points in 4 straight before going on the road for your final road trip of the year, and have a little bit of momentum going into that game against the Edmonton Oilers, a team that, to this point this season, has beaten you every time they've played against you. Like, there's the implications for the schedule, or for the playoffs. There's seeding, all of that, but it's also go up to Edmonton and beat the Oilers, just because you haven't had as much success beating that team in recent memory.
And tonight we'll get to see the team that John Tortorella has been able to work with a couple of days. Mm-hmm. One with some meetings. Number 2 with a full practice the other day. Number 3 with conversations with individuals and the leadership group. So there's going to be different areas where he's going to want to tweak coming in. But I think more importantly, he's going to be able to send a group out there tonight that won't be dealing with the shock of a coaching change and an immediate, within hours, a new voice behind the bench and being introduced to him and then playing a game. There'll be more of a traditional, more of a normal game night experience for the players and for John Tortorella. They've played a game under his guidance already. He's watched them play a game already. Now tonight it should feel more free for everybody involved.
Yeah, it isn't routine because it's still so very new, but I do think
I'm not sure it will be routine.
I don't know that it will be. Like, I don't think that you get there before the end of the regular season, and I'm not sure that you get there if you go on a deep playoff run either. But the fact of the matter is, it should feel a little bit more familiar, a little bit more normal. And, you know, I think now the players have experienced John Tortorella behind the bench. John Tortorella has his opportunity to now go into his second game more prepared, just based on the fact that he's been here for a couple of days and had a couple of off days to work and get through meetings and do all of those things. So, you know, I think in that regard, it should feel like a smoother game, and I don't expect that we're going to see a similar first period out of the Golden Knights as to what we saw against Vancouver.
A major difference tonight from the game against Vancouver on Monday is going to be who plays goal. Mm-hmm. Carter Hart makes his return after being sidelined in early January, and he's missed 33 games on the schedule. He will be back in goal tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, if there's a silver lining to being out that long and coming back when he is right now, it's the coach knows him as much as any player on the Golden Knights. As familiar, John Tortorella, Torts is as familiar with Carter Hart as any player because of their time in Philadelphia. And Carter Hart doesn't have to dance around the new coach at all. He's very familiar with Torts. In fact, at the end of practice yesterday, they had a conversation, and I don't know whether it was relayed at that point that he was going in or he already knew, but they had a brief discussion, and then there was a fist bump of the coach giving the goaltender the fist bump, and John skating away with all kinds of energy and enthusiasm and a big smile on Carter Hart's face. And John can be intimidating. He is that big of a personality. Carter Hart doesn't have to worry about that and impressing the head coach, because the coach knows what he can do. There was great compliments from Tortorella today on Carter Hart, saying the year that Carter stepped away, he thinks that Philadelphia would have made the playoffs the way Carter Hart was playing. So they're big admirers of each other, but tonight, with 7 games left, it's the opportunity for Carter Hart to make his first game back. How many games does he have to play in these final 7? I've heard different numbers there. Whether it's, if you're thinking he might be a legitimate option in the playoffs, he would have to play somewhere in the range of 5. And the games are spaced out, so that wouldn't be a problem. If you're just trying to get him up to speed where he could serve as a backup, then you're looking at 2 to 3 in that range, and we'll see where they go with that. Because you're at the stage right now where you're planning. It's like preseason in a sense. You're building towards the regular season, and you want everybody ready. Well, you can do that a little bit right now with your goaltenders, building towards the playoffs. And if you've got a feeling that one guy is going to be your goalie at the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, you want to get him the necessary amount of work. Now, Adin Hill shouldn't have to play 5 games down the stretch, but he would certainly want to play at least 4. If he's going to be your guy. And Carter Hart, if he's thinking, I'm going to be the guy, he'll want to play at least 5 given his time off. So that'll be something that we'll be watching as far as game starts and that distribution is concerned with the Vegas Golden Knights. But the first order of business is tonight to come back, be comfortable, and win the hockey game. It can be a little bit imperfect tonight because you haven't played in 3 months, but you don't have the luxury of just coming in and going through the rep of a game. Your team also badly needs these points. It's different than when we saw Carter come in December, where he was allowed to, and they approached it to as, okay, the games we'd like to win, but we got to get them back in the flow of things. They need the win as much as anything.
I mean, the stakes are high right now, right? For the Golden Knights, you've got to continue to put points in the bank. You've got to continue to win hockey games. And, it's a tough ask in a lot of ways for Carter Hart coming in this late in the season, coming off of an injury, to just go in there and try to find your game. You might need, as a team, the ability to insulate him, get him a lead early would be fantastic. But at the end of the day, I think the reality is if Carter Hart comes back and gives you solid goaltending and you're able to win games, that's best case scenario. And we'll see kind of how things shake out over the final 7 as to who's going to be in net game 1 of the playoffs.
The other side of the storyline tonight involves the emotional angle. Rasmus Andersson will face his former team for the first time. It's a situation where Rasmus Andersson has played 31 teams in the National Hockey League over the course of his career. He's never played against the Calgary Flames. And on the other bench is Zach Whitecloud, who's played all 31 teams in the National Hockey League except for the Vegas Golden Knights. And the two guys were traded for each other. Great guys, cool people, wonderful human beings, and I don't say that lightly. Zach Whitecloud's one of my favorite people that I've ever met in this sport, and I love the energy and the enthusiasm and the vibe that Rasmus Andersson brings to that Golden Knights room. And the first game back is always more significant. But the first game against your former team is different. I'm sure Anderson had some interaction with the guys last night for dinner. Same with Zach Whitecloud, and tonight they get to experience something that they've never been through before. It's a week of firsts, really, between Carter Hart's first game back, John Tortorella's debut behind the bench, and now the two defensemen facing their former teams.
It's a little bit of a different feel, right? Like it's unique this time of the year because it feels like with 7 games left and 2 weeks left in the regular season, you're not going to have firsts. You're not going to get something like this, and yet unique to this game is the return of Carter Hart and obviously Zach Whitecloud returning to T-Mobile Arena as a member of the Calgary Flames. Rasmus Andersson playing his former team for the first time ever in his career, and it's coming at a really good time, I think, for Rasmus Andersson specifically. He's got goals in 2 straight for the Vegas Golden Knights. He has been really, really good just activating in the offensive zone. I think we've seen a definite step up in his play over the last 3 or so weeks, and as long as Rasmus Andersson continues to add those layers into his game offensively, he's going to continue to be a piece that helps his team.
Andersson will be paired with Noah Hanifin. We're expecting that the way things were at practice yesterday. So 2/3 of the Calgary defense a couple of years ago is now skating on the Golden Knights side. So the Calgary Flames will be familiar with that. And Zach Whitecloud's wearing a letter now for the Calgary Flames.
Look at that.
That
didn't take long.
It's pretty fast. They love him. I told you I had a conversation. I don't know whether I relayed this on the air to you yesterday or not, but I talked to one of the assistant general managers of the Calgary Flames yesterday, and as Calgary was wrapping up their practice, and he said, we knew we were getting a good defenseman.
Yeah.
We knew we were getting a good guy, and he pointed at Zach and said, I didn't know we were getting all that.
Sure.
It's a trade that I think is going to really work out well for both teams. But for Andersson, that offensive touch that he offers that's at a different level than Zach Whitecloud brings on a night-to-night basis. He's got 5 goals with the Vegas Golden Knights now, with 3 in his last 4. The Golden Knights leader is Shea Theodore with 9.
9, yep. So
Andersson's been here 2.5 months, and he's in that
right there.
Like he's performing even in a year where the Golden Knights haven't been able to generate as much as in the past from the back end. Andersson is still chipping in, and I think you'll see more involvement from the blue liners. We saw that the other night. I think there was a bit of coincidence there that happened the first night of John Tortorella's debut.
Sure.
But I do think that they'll be more involved coming up the ice, and that was something that they worked on yesterday with the quick ups, the outlet passes and transition and going in on the goaltender.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the goals that the Golden Knights were able to score against Vancouver, like Rasmus Andersson, the goal that he scored, that's pretty prototypical of Rasmus Andersson because he activates so much in the offensive zone. But if you're looking at the goal for Shea Theodore, the ability to read the play, jump into the play as well, that pace, that aggressiveness, I think that's kind of an area where John Tortorella wants to see this team take that mindset and move forward. So yeah, if we're getting more opportunity up the ice for some defensemen, I think that's a good thing.
Let's take a break. We'll come back with our NHL insider, John Shannon, from the 100% Hockey podcast with myself and the acclaimed former executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada. He's following all these games happening tonight. Different areas of interest. The Winnipeg Jets knocking on the door of a playoff spot. John does a lot of work in and around the Winnipeg Jets. We'll get into that. Also, what's happening in the Eastern Conference as things tighten up. The Boston Bruins have been a team that's been in the mix all year. Our expectations that they get through? Are they ahead of schedule? Where are the Boston Bruins in that? A lot to peruse as we continue on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
He is 100% of the reason to listen to 100% Hockey. The legend, John Shannon, joins the VGK Insider Show.
He is the mayor of Funville. Here's John Shannon. Yeah, I listened to your promo talking about the listeners will have fun because the guests have fun and we have fun, but it didn't sound like you were having as much fun when you were reading that. Is that because you were recording it when I was in the room?
I didn't read a word of that. That was just off the top of the brain,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We do have fun, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have fun when, well, yeah, okay.
I know exactly what you mean, John.
I don't.
Exactly. Yeah, Ryan, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a shot at me.
It's 5 days a week for me, John. 5 days a week.
Well, I used to have that 5 days a week with Millard. I cut it down to 3. So.
And Shannon, like I've been in Shannon's life way longer, so he's got scar tissue built up that'll never go away.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Never go away. 14 games tonight. I was talking to somebody in the Situation Room on my way into work today. I was really busy on the phone today. And it's actually not even the person that I told you I talked to earlier today. It was somebody else. 14 games tonight, and all 14 games matter.
Well, this is our preliminary round. This is the month of March and the month of April being so good for the NHL when you consider that only 16 of the 32 make it. You know, when I was a kid, which was, black and white television and whatever.
You're not even joking there.
No, I know. 2/3 of the NHL made the playoffs, and when we went to 21 teams. Think about this. We went to 21 teams in 1979, and 16 teams made the playoffs. So we've added 11 more teams and haven't added any more teams to the playoffs. So it has become that much more competitive. And ever since the salary cap, the parity and the competitive level in the NHL has really narrowed. And so it creates tremendous races during the regular season, and we're seeing that everywhere. We're seeing it in every division. We're seeing it in both conferences, and it's absolutely fantastic.
When you start to think about just what we're going to have in store over the final 2 weeks, is this one of the biggest reasons why the divisional matchup, the wild card format, the playoff format in the National Hockey League is correct, is right, is the way it should be?
Well, I think if you look at it, what the wild card system is supposed to do is hedge your bets just in case one of the divisions is out of whack. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, one of the divisions this year is out of whack, and that division is the Pacific Division. And so, in fairness to the Central, they're going to have 5 teams, and the Pacific's probably going to have 3. So
not necessarily.
No, I said probably. Not. I said probably. But it does, and what it does do is it by combining each division or both divisions in each conference, you still create a competitive level outside of the division. So as much as I feel about 4 of every 7 days that I'm a 1 versus 8 guy, Ryan. Mm-hmm. I understand why the wild card's here, and I understand why the wild card works. And if you look over a body of work of the last 6 or 7 years, the wild card has probably been more fair than anything else that they could have designed.
So you're looking at that, and you say the Central Division could have, probably, may have more teams than the Pacific Division, but Los Angeles is still in this thing.
Yeah, but we might know in the next 4 days when Nashville and Los Angeles play twice. And the thing that, and everybody outside of those 2 teams are praying that they don't get the 3-point games. But LA Nashville tonight, and then LA Nashville one more time early next week. That might be the indicator of who's going to be that team. But it's the wild card system has worked when you consider that here we are, a Central team and a Pacific team are fighting for a position outside of your division. It means that they're trying to be as fair as possible, and when they designed the 3-point system, I think that the wild card was actually part of the necessity of making it work.
How much do you think Colorado's concerned about the team that gets in because they've been on cruise control? I'm not saying that they haven't cared about winning, but the emphasis certainly and urgency hasn't been there compared to the club that's going to get that second wild card spot and is going to come in on a playoff type feeling compared to the Avalanche, who haven't necessarily felt like they had to win a game.
Well, I think you're always concerned. I mean, I'm almost more concerned about will we start the playoffs with Cale Makar and on the roster if I'm Jared Bednar, because he did not play against Vancouver last night after being hurt against Calgary on Monday night. So from that perspective, that's a concern. The intensity that some of the Avalanche guys can bring, like Nathan McKinnon, will tell me that they can get it back together. But at the same time, teams get hot. There's a good chance that, I was thinking about this the other day. If the Winnipeg Jets become the second wild card and it ends up being a Colorado-Winnipeg series, Winnipeg plays Colorado very hard. At least they have this year. And then when you have stars and then you have quality goaltending, and I would argue that Connor Hellebuck is better than the Wood brothers. That might give Winnipeg a bit of an edge in trying to defeat the team that's probably going to win the President's Trophy. So there would have to be some concern, I think, from Bednar and Sakic and McFarland to think that there's got to be something to play for. But you've seen that, Daren, over the years. Teams get into the playoffs, and they've played well the last month, have a pretty good chance to beat people higher in the standings because the teams higher haven't had much to play for in the last 4 to 6 weeks.
The Boston example, NHL record for the regular season. Couldn't get through.
Well, and here was the frustration with that is that they should have won that series in Game 5 because Brad Marchand missed a breakaway with 2 seconds to play in Game 5, so that didn't force overtime. So they could have won the series in 5 games, and they didn't get it done.
Now, you've kind of looked at the wild card race here in the Western Conference, and I look at Los Angeles, I look at San Jose. You've mentioned Nashville and Winnipeg. Like, if you had to pick between LA or San Jose as one of the teams or a team that gets in as a wild card, a fourth team in the Pacific, which one would it be, San Jose or LA?
Well, I think the best story would be San Jose. When you think what Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and all those young guys have done, and Askarov in goal, that franchise truly has been revitalized. It's an unbelievable story. I don't know if you watched last night, but what they did last night in the last 2 minutes to tie the game and then win the game with 31 seconds to go.
It was so much fun to watch.
What's that?
It was just so much fun to watch because I didn't really care who won, and I was sitting there and I found myself with a big smile on my face watching it. Like, it was enjoyable.
And earlier in the week, same thing. St. Louis, Gaudette scores with 22 seconds to play to win the game in regulation. Saturday night in Columbus, they score with 1:28 to win the game. They have won their last 3 games in the last 2 minutes of the third period. It's tremendously fun to watch. If you're not in a playoff race with them.
Yeah. Well, in LA and San Jose, like they're both fighting for the same spot. They couldn't be more different. Like, one is very safe, doesn't score very often, and the other one is wide open, loosey-goosey, and let's go see what happens.
Yeah, it's in many ways it's the difference between a 22-year-old playing hockey and a 37-year-old playing hockey.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so we rave about Macklin Celebrini doing what he does, and on the other side, Andrei Kopitar is in the last few months of his career, maybe few weeks, maybe few days of his career, and he's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's trying to will his team into a position. And they have some of the similar weaknesses. Their defense can give up goals a lot. Their goaltending isn't necessarily as consistent as it should be. So in many ways, you're right. They are the antithesis, and they could have a fun time fighting for that spot. And I do wonder. They will play the Pacific. They will play the Avalanche. And you wonder if some of that youthful enthusiasm, if San Jose gets in, can create problems for Colorado.
Yeah, the Avalanche pro scouting department has no idea who to watch for a potential first round.
Right.
They got to use every professional scout that they have just to go out and look at these 5 other teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you can actually do it on television. You know that
it's not the same. I'm telling you, it's not the same. I speak for every scout.
All your scout friends just want per diem and hotel points. That's all.
Yes, and they want to be in the building.
Per diem and hotel points. They leave after the second period. Scouts leave after the second period all the time.
Not my scouts. They got to be till the very end. I ask for selfies. Like, send me a selfie, time-stamped.
Boy, I'll tell you, you'd be a tough GM.
I think that's why nobody will offer me one of those jobs, because they know he's too difficult to work for.
I know why you're not offered any of those jobs.
Hey, Boston. Boston might get in. Like,
well, they will get in. They've become a great story.
Yep. So, are they had a schedule? What is Boston year over year?
Well, I don't think they're ahead of schedule. I think that when you look at the core of that team, the core that they have built around are pretty good hockey players. You know, if you look at the forwards and, you know, David Pasternak, Elias Lindholm, Pavel Zacha. So that's 3 forwards. Then you have at least Zadorov, McAvoy, and the other Lindholm. And then you have Jeremy Swayman. So that's a pretty good core to deal with and work around with. And then, you know, they have been able to, on the fly, get rid of veteran players and get quality young kids back and first-round picks. They've done that with the Maple Leafs. So what they've been able to do, and they've also resurrected a couple of kids' careers. Casey Middlestat has played much better there. They've done a really good job on the fly of sacrificing last year in order to get back and be part of the picture this year. They actually may not end up being a wild card team, if you can imagine that. They actually may end up being third in that Atlantic Division.
Yeah. Do they take too many penalties to be successful in the playoffs, John?
What's that?
Do they take too many penalties to be successful in the playoffs?
Well, it's not a problem if you can kill the penalties.
Yeah.
But do you really think that they will take the same level of penalties in the playoffs?
I don't see anything falling off with that group. I think they play hard, they play nasty, and they're who they are. Zadorov's who he is. Takes a lot of penalties. That team, McAvoy will take penalties. Not just like ticky-tack penalties, but they'll wear you down with the penalties. They get their pound of flesh. But I just wonder if you can be successful being shorthanded that often in the playoffs.
Well, as I said, I mean, if your penalty killing's pretty good, then maybe you can. But I would suggest that with the intensity of the playoffs, that any team that they're going to play is going to try to be a little more physical than they are in the regular season, and then perhaps it's a saw-off. You know. By the way, your buddy Rick Bowness is getting beaten badly tonight.
Oh, is he?
3-0 Carolina.
Well, see, and that's the interesting part about all these teams that have got themselves back into it. Mm-hmm. Like it's been real for Columbus for a while now, but Winnipeg's back into it. San Jose's back into it. You go from playing free to this is real now, and it doesn't continue the same way.
Well, and the other thing is you played for the last 6 weeks with such intensity, and just when you think you have put yourself back in a place of being in the picture, you can't take a night off still. You can't relax. You still have to maintain that level of intensity, and let's face it, that's hard to do night in and night out, particularly with the schedule the way it is, because even though the Olympics are done, the schedule's still jam-packed, and you're playing there. Sometimes playing 4 games a week, and that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Who won the Olympics? It was so long ago.
Team USA.
Oh, they okay.
Yeah, Team
Congratulations.
USA won it. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, John, can we slide over to the Golden Knights? John Tortorella at the helm. He wins his debut 4-2 over the Vancouver Canucks. But I guess the question that I'm after is 7 games left for John Tortorella to get this team to be more consistent, to just have a little bit more of that Vegas Golden Knight type of identity. What do you see John being able to do with 7 games left in the regular season?
Oh, I think he can probably manufacture almost anything that this team needs over that period of time and get the players to understand it. His attention to detail is absolutely tremendous. His ability to communicate directly is of legend, truly of legend. Players love playing for John Tortorella. They love it. They love playing and believe in it. And as I've told the story many times, when I was doing a Vancouver game, and we were in Columbus with the team having a day off, Daniel and Henrik didn't skate, but they went over to the arena to visit one of their favorite coaches, John Tortorella, and he was only in Vancouver for a short period of time. So this guy will demand, but he will not demand anything that he hasn't asked. You will come to the game prepared, and I think that that's all players, particularly in the short term, Ryan, particularly in the short term. I think that's all that players can ask. Just be told, tell us what to do, let us do it, and if we don't listen, then it's on us. And I expect the Golden Knights to I think there'll be a Tortorella bounce, and I think that it'll prepare them well for their first round playoff series.
You're a man of many commitments. I know you got another one lined up. Thanks for doing this, and of course, every week with us on the VGK Insider Show. We really do appreciate it.
Well, I always have fun talking to Ryan.
Awesome. The feeling's the same, John. You're awesome.
Kenny Holland tomorrow on the podcast. Oh, and by the way, I better say hello to my pal George McPhee. Hello, George.
Challenging week for George and Kelly. Had to make a big change, and hopefully this works in the right direction for the Vegas Golden Knights, trying to go to 2-0 under John Tortorella. Be well, my friend. I'll talk to you in the morning.
Cheers.
Here's John Shannon, co-host of 100% Hockey, the podcast with Daren Millard and John Shannon.
There you go. Mm-hmm. You got it. Got it out. He was having fun in the promo. I could tell.
He wasn't having fun.
100% he was having fun. He's got that dry sense of humor. I'm having fun all the time, and you seem to think I'm not having fun.
I was thinking we should put some of that Jared Justice lounge music behind John's promo.
Oh, I know a guy you can see about that.
Who's that?
It's not Jared.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who is it?
It's one of the bosses.
You can't say his name?
That's one of the bosses.
Why can't you say the name?
Because it's intriguing.
Steve?
It's one of the bosses. It's not Steve.
Brian? Julie?
Brian. Yeah, Julie.
Julie?
Yeah, it's Julie.
Julie can make that happen?
She can.
Did not know
Get
that
in
Julie
touch.
had that much influence, but that's good. I don't get into the office nearly as much as I should.
Ever.
Okay, that too. We're back with more on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Great guests, great conversation. That's 100% Hockey with Daren Millard and John Shannon. Hey, that's me. 100% Hockey. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube.
Ribeye, medium rare.
Ribeye? Probably the ribeye.
I like a ribeye guy. They do that, 12, sometimes 18 ounces.
I like ribeye the best.
I like a nice ribeye.
Ribeye.
Usually probably get the filet mignon.
Ribeye. Usually a filet.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Here are the Golden Knights giving us their steak preference and how they like it cooked. I've always been a filet guy. Forever. This is the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Golden Knights taking on the Calgary Flames tonight at T-Mobile Arena. 7 games left in the regular season. They will have an emotional night tonight. It's Rasmus Andersson against his former team. Zach Whitecloud on the Calgary Flames side will be honored during the first TV timeout of the opening frame. Looking forward to this contest. The Golden Knights will try to make it 2-0 under John Tortorella. Always a filet guy. But the ribeyes grown on me, and hearing that, I think that I've been shortchanging myself forever.
Yeah, you have, because ribeye is the only answer. A perfectly cooked ribeye is just the pinnacle of steak. It just is.
I used to eat a lot of that. I've cut down on it, mainly because it's too hot in the backyard to barbecue.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's one of the primary reasons. It's just too darn toasty back there by the barbecue. But a little medium rare,
yes,
filet.
Yep.
I gotta get that done. What's your favorite side with a steak?
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm a potato guy.
Mm-hmm.
Meat and potatoes. It's very simple. If you're asking me for like a legitimate vegetable, then we can go like Brussels sprouts cooked in bacon.
You know what the hottest side that I've seen in my last few times out in Vegas is bacon, and cooked differently with different spices and different like sprinkles on it. Or
Sprinkles? Really?
They dress it up. It's unbelievable what people are doing with bacon right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like not present bacon as anything other than delicious. So you can do a lot of different things with it. I think bacon's phenomenal.
Yeah, calamari is my go-to for an appy, but this bacon craze has taken over my ordering. I love it, and a little bit of spice on it, just to dress it up, give it a different feel. Absolutely fabulous. So Vegas, keep doing what you're doing right now when it comes to bacon. And the last 3 places we've gone out, the bacon appy has been front and center.
So bacon stealing the show for you.
Yes.
Wow.
But it feels like it's new. Like it's just burst on the scene in the last little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like bacon as an appetizer is not a typical thing for me.
But it's outstanding. Maybe a little shrimp.
I
too.
like shrimp. Shrimp cocktail is always good.
I'm not a big shrimp cocktail.
You're not a shrimp cocktail guy? Really?
I used to, because it made me feel like I was worldly.
Sophisticated. Yeah.
And now it's like...
What is it, like coconut shrimp for you now?
And it's just it's like you got to have it prepared the right way, like thawed. It's a little hard to time that, because I always think about it. It takes a long time to thaw that things out. The shrimp ring.
Shrimp cocktail is one of the things that we do as like a Christmas Eve tradition. It started with my wife. She has always done it, and I can't think of doing anything else.
Can I make shrimp the word of the day?
You sure could.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Right now?
All right. Okay. That's official. It's an official decision. The word of the day is shrimp. Text shrimp, SHRIMP, to 702-876-1340. And if you do, you could win $2,026, all thanks to Lotus Broadcasting, Paul Padala, and Fox Sports Las Vegas. Again, the word of the day, as decreed by Daren Millard, shrimp, SHRIMP. Text shrimp to 702-876-1340.
And you will get a response back, a reply that you are officially entered. If you don't get that reply back, you probably put the R in front of the H and the I behind the M, and they left out the P. Something happened that went wrong if you don't get a response. Some texts coming in. Kim says Porterhouse is the best steak. Jordan is mad because says you're going to have to send me to the steakhouse for dinner now because of all that ribeye talk. Sonia believes sweet potato for a side. I will only go sweet potato if I'm feeling a little pudgy.
I don't ever go with the sweet potato. It is always mashed potatoes. I will do a loaded baked potato.
Sweet potato has to be so crispy for me to enjoy it because I don't like the taste of sweet potatoes. But I know it's healthy for you and it's better.
Sweet potato fries are okay. Like, they're fine, but Yeah, to your point, like there's got to be some crispness to it in order to get through.
I couldn't eat it like a sweet potato, like a baked potato.
Yeah,
there's no way I could do that.
Not my favorite.
It's not good. Even if I'm feeling pudgy, I'm not going to be able to get that going in the right direction.
Lots of butter.
Sonia believes ribeye with a glass of vino. Can't go wrong with that either.
I'm a big ribeye fan.
Stefan loves hearing Millard promote himself in the third person. See the way that I did there?
Yes.
I read that promo about myself, or
Yeah.
that text about myself in the third person.
Yes, you did. That it just comes naturally to you.
Yeah. That Millard is great.
Yes.
That Millard should be on more.
Uh,
But that Millard doesn't have time to be on more. Like, I'm already having trouble spending the $384,000 a year.
You're the number one star in your own head. It's amazing.
Like, what am I going to do with more money?
I don't know. Give me some.
No, I don't want to give it to the kids. You gotta earn your way up. Gotta fight your way to the top. I'm doing you a favor. Hour
Thank
number
you.
2 is next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios.
Stone whips it ahead. Smith comes down the slot, fakes, and scores! Riley Smith on the backhand. A breakaway, and the Knights are on the board.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Flames lose it at center. Marner comes in, curls to the outside right, leads the middle, and a try by Korzak. Score!
With Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Hannafin straight on, shoots. Wide left. Now a rebound, score! Stone plays the deflection.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas from T-Mobile Arena, getting set for the VGK against the Calgary Flames. It is 7 games left in the National Hockey League schedule for the Vegas Golden Knights. After tonight, they're on the road for 4 games before coming back to wrap up the season at home here at T-Mobile Arena. 5 of the 7 games for the Vegas Golden Knights will be against non-playoff teams. In there, they do have games against the Edmonton Oilers, which is a good thing because you're trying to reel in the Edmonton Oilers and pass them for what is right now second spot and home ice advantage in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That will happen on Saturday. And then the Golden Knights also have a game against the Colorado Avalanche. That will be the third last game of the year. Probably too early for Colorado to be resting people, but it doesn't sound like they'll have Cale Makar, so there might be an opportunity here to take advantage of that, as well as the teams that are outside the playoffs. And teams that are outside the playoffs can be tricky, but given where Vegas is right now in the standings and the coaching change, there should be a lot more attention to detail than you would think maybe another team that's gone through this season. And it all starts tonight against the Calgary Flames, a team that's rebuilding, a team that has made their decision on where they want to go. Funny, if last year it would have been this year, the Calgary Flames were mid to low 90s in the standings. They'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year, it's wild how it's just if you don't time the market right, it can work against you. But they're a rebuilding hockey club. A lot of veterans have been moved out, but they will have Zach Whitecloud, who will go against Rasmus Anderson in an emotional game for both teams tonight. And Carter Hart will play goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. We are expecting the lines to look like the way they finished the other night for the Vegas Golden Knights, which means Mitch Marner centering Mark Stone and Ivan Barbashev, and Jack Eichel with Pavel Dorofeev and Brett Howden.
Yeah, I think when in that regard, I like the way that the lines looked when John Tortorella made that change. I do like the idea of Dorofeev and Eichel together. I think Mitch Marner works with pretty much anybody you're going to put him with. But then you start to think about Ivan Barbashev, his ability to forecheck. Marner doesn't shy away from putting the puck in deep, putting it into a good spot. And, Mark Stone's IQ, we've seen Marner and Stone together at times. We certainly saw it at the Olympics. So I like that as well. But then, you start to think about Tomas Hertl, who I thought had a really strong game against the Vancouver Canucks. Alongside Riley Smith, it just seemed to work. It was direct. It maximized what Hertl did in the offensive zone, and he looked really good 5-on-5 for Vegas.
Golden Knights taking on the Calgary Flames tonight. John Tortorella's second game behind the bench. Here is the Golden Knights head coach at his media availability earlier today at City National Arena.
Continue to tinker with the lines and see what works and what doesn't. How much do you like having a shooter like Dorofeev on Jack's line to maybe kind of open things up?
Yeah, he can score some goals. From what I've been told, he's a little streaky. I know some of our top guys have had a little bit of struggles here as far as scoring some goals of late. It's not like I'm looking to tinker. I have to make the call. And I did in the first period. I just didn't think we were generating enough, and I made the change. We could go back. I don't know. I just go as I feel as the game's going on. So we'll see where it goes. I thought both lines played well when I did make the change, and in behind that, I thought the other two lines played pretty well too. The second half of that game.
I asked you the other day about goalies. You said you probably needed a couple days to decompress and everything about that. But now with all three looking like they're getting close together, do you have a plan of kind of how you want to attack that in the last little bit? Or?
I have no plan on how to attack it. I have a plan on who the goalie is going to be the next game. I know the goalie today. That's as far as I've gone.
What do you want to see from your team right off the bat tonight?
Yeah, I think we're going to be really careful here. Calgary's, I think they've gotten points in 7 out of their last 10. One thing great about our league and the athletes in our league, they're proud people. They got spanked their last game, right? And people talk about playing Vancouver, 32nd team in the league. It's tough to win in this league period, no matter who you play. I want us to continue to try to work on our starts. Again, we're still chasing the game against Vancouver. You could see when we scored a goal how we loosened up a little bit. I'd like to see us get a start that way. The starts for me are very important because of just the past here a little while as far as how they've been chasing and constantly looking for the pace of the game. I'm going to be looking at pace of the game all through the rest of the season.
I'd be remiss if I don't ask who is that goalie
Carter.
tonight. With the power play, do you like the 5-forward look? Do you think that's been working so far?
Well, again, I haven't watched the team play a whole bunch. I watched them play one game the other night. It was on the bench, but I think it's 6th or 7th in the league. There's some really good people on it. What I look for, and I'm kind of out of the way. Dom's taking care of that. I'm not going to interfere what's been going on here with some of the things that have been pretty good. And it's been a pretty good power play. Just make sure we stay on an attack, that we're not trying to pass the puck into the net. When you have all the skill that you have on that power play, sometimes you tend to overpass and try to pass it into the net. We got a guy with Jack who likes to pass, that has one hell of a shot. Those are the things I look for in making sure if it's not working and we're having problems scoring on it, let's throw some pucks to the net and make some things happen that way. And he's one of the best coming off of that wall.
Your first day, you mentioned how excited you were to see Carter. So just curious what you can tell us about him, not only as a goalie, but also as a person and what he's like to coach. Yeah,
Carter and I have a really good relationship. The year that he had to stop play in the National Hockey League, I think that Philly team gets in the playoffs by 6 or 7 points. That's how well he was playing at that time. When we lost him, there were some major struggles. From when I was in Philly, in the information I got when I got there, to where he was as he kept on playing, he's become a really good pro. And I love the kid. We've had a lot of conversations. I think he's handled himself so well through some pretty hard times the past couple of years. Great competitor, one of the best guys I've seen prepare. I just think he's a good kid. People make judgments on him. People are still making judgments on him. I think he's a good kid. I think he's got a good heart. No pun intended.
John, yesterday you talked about getting more settled here. I'm curious how you expect today is in terms of getting back to more normal for you in terms of a game day, for you, just your personal day.
Yeah, better. Game day, when we're done with our meetings, I don't go on the ice. When the work's done here, I try to run out of here just to get away. There's a lot going on in the evening. Sometimes it's just good just to spend a few hours away from the rink before the stuff happens. So, yeah, I feel much better with my schedule. I feel much better in some of the communicating I had to do with some players. So all good. Still have not got on Western time as far as sleeping. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm up at 3 o'clock and I'm ready to go. So it's crazy. Haven't sorted that out yet.
Game started at 4. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that's great about it. You get to watch some hockey for yours.
There's John Tortorella, Torts, talking about the game against the Calgary Flames. A couple of details coming out as Carter Hart is scheduled to make his first start since early January when he suffered that lower body injury against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I was going through the math today, and he's missed more games than I actually thought. Mm-hmm. But it was so jammed in January and March that it makes up for that. But because I was considering the shutdown, the Olympic shutdown.
Yeah.
Well, how many games did he really miss? Well, it's over 30.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, gives you an idea of just how compressed it was in January and how compressed it was on the other side of the Olympic break in March. It certainly felt like a lot, but I think for Carter, it's going to be interesting, right? Because you've mentioned it earlier, we've talked about it. Like, this isn't a scenario where you're able to kind of get your feet wet and build your game, so to speak. Golden Knights need points. They need to win games, and I think you're going to need Carter Hart to be sharp. Doesn't have to be great, but he does need to be sharp in order to give the Golden Knights a chance to win.
Now, he has had his net at practice a few days, which is extremely advantageous to a goaltender to be able to get all those reps. With 3 goalies at practice, somebody's always left out. Yeah. Somebody's always in the way. That's one thing that the coaches and the skaters hate. Just stay out of the way. The other part, when you're a goaltender, and this is different. If you're the third guy, you're looking just to get any shots you can. It's like the backup goaltender in warm up. You might get like 7 good shots,
sure,
because everything's working towards the starter. In practice, if you're trying to get the shots, you're in net, but you're also looking over your shoulder. Is the next guy waiting? Is the other guy waiting to get in? Like, are we in a full rotation, or am I always getting the shots at one end and those 2 guys are splitting at the other? Normally, that's the way it works, but Vegas lately, they've been trying to get everybody in the mix and share it. Everybody gets a third, but there's always somebody waiting to get in when you're standing there, and you can't fully get into a rhythm in practice. They've been able to get that solved by having Akira Schmid go out early a couple of times with Director of Goaltending Sean Burke and allow Carter to have full practice in his own net and be able to work on things. He's also going out with Sean and getting some extra work done, fine-tuning his game. And one thing about Carter Hart is he leaves no stone unturned. If you're around City National Arena and the amount of work that he puts into his edges at the start of practice, up and down the ice, he's out there by himself doing edge work. Also does his crease movements in and around the net. He does a lot of things off the ice from the visual side of things. He's a goalie, and I say that as a compliment. And he's all in his work ethic from a fitness point of view, but also the other side, the science, the mental part. Like it's really impressive to watch his level of being engaged in the process.
It's interesting because I feel like the fact that Carter Hart was able to come back when he made his debut this season for the Golden Knights, and he was able to perform. He was able to get results. He was able to get wins. He was able to, kind of battle in those moments. It really does speak to what you're talking about in terms of making sure his body is ready to go, making sure that he is doing everything that he can to be the best version of himself. And I'll be interested, to see now coming off of a bit of, an injury, 3 months, missed time, how quickly he's able to kind of get himself back to that level that he was at earlier on this season, where he was coming off a lengthy absence in the National Hockey League.
It won't be because he's not put in the work. Mm-hmm. That I can guarantee.
Yeah.
Like he has been able to work separately from the team when he was getting back on the ice, to now being on with a couple of different groups and the full team practices. So that's good. That's comfortable for him, and he wanted this. He was hoping to be back sooner, like they all are. But this is an opportunity. 5 games left, and you're not playing against a team that's as desperate. You still need the points, but you're not being thrown in against Calgary. Mm-hmm. Against Colorado.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's more of a positive return to the lineup. And I don't know whether he plays Edmonton or whether he plays Seattle in the next 2 games that will start this 4-game road trip, the final road trip of the season. But it does set up for him to get a lot of work if the Golden Knights go down that path of Carter Hart.
Well, what's your gut telling you in that regard? Like, or does it kind of matter what the results are and what Carter looks like? Because, we've laid out a couple of different ideas. Like, if Carter Hart is trending toward being your guy, you would think that he'd want 5 of the 7 games.
Yeah, and
right?
I don't think any decision's been made on that.
Do you have a gut though? Like, do you have a gut reaction, a gut feeling as to what direction you think you go? And does the inclusion of John Tortorella change things a little bit, just because of his familiarity with Carter?
I don't think it changes things a lot. I think it's advantageous to both Torts and Carter, that they know each other. I think that's positive. But I don't think because Torts has coached Carter in the past that's my guy.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. Mm-hmm. I do think that tonight's important to see how Carter Hart feels. And the coming off the lower body injury, how everything functions getting back into the game. They don't have any wiggle room. That's the biggest concern or roadblock, potential roadblock is they only have 7 games left. If I was going to make any type of prediction, and I threw out if Adin Hill is your guy, he'd want 4 games because you don't want to be overtaxed because he has played a lot lately. Play 4 games of the final 7, or if Carter Hart's going to be your guy, he'd play 5 games to really get into the groove of things. If I'm going to look at it, it's a 4-3. How you'd like it down the stretch to make sure both guys feel better about themselves, and because Aiden's played more, I would lean towards Carter playing 4 and Aiden 3, and then you make your decision on that. But as of right now, I do not believe that any decision has been made about which way they would lean towards the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, Aiden's played 1 game for John Tortorella, and Carter Hart is coming off an injury that's kept him out of the lineup for more than 2.5 months.
Sure.
So it could go either direction, and these starts and these performances are going to be something that's going to have a huge say in it.
I think there's something to be said about that level of competition with 7 games to go. I think that there's something to be said about, both goaltenders, Adin Hill and Carter Hart, trying to find, another level, a different gear to their game. And I thought Aiden on Tuesday against Vancouver, I thought he was good. I thought he was solid. And, if you can kind of get that going back and forth, or you can get both of those guys, trying to improve one another and themselves, then, the Golden Knights should be able to hit the postseason with just feeling better about where the goaltending is overall. That's going to be important down the stretch.
If they're both able to play and be healthy.
Yeah.
I have all the confidence in saying that we will see both goaltenders in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I do believe that. I can see the scenario developing in front of me where during the course of a series, the Golden Knights will flip back and forth and be able to lean on both guys. If you have two number ones, and these guys are two number ones, they're both have both been cemented number one goaltenders of their respective of teams that they've played for.
Sure, 100%.
And if you've got that advantage in your back pocket, why not use it? And they're both motivated. Carter trying to get back into rhythm and get going in this next stage of his National Hockey League career, and Aiden Hill has the contract that says he's the organization's number one goaltender. You can lean and justify either guy starting, so use that to your advantage. If it can keep guys fresh throughout the playoffs. You're not thinking that in the moment. Oh, he's got to be fresh because we could go deep. Nobody's thinking that, but you can use it to your advantage to put somebody in after a game that doesn't go your way, or a game that goes deep into overtime. You come back with the next guy, and it's perfectly played or set up to see both guys in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So whoever plays that first game, whoever it is down the stretch that they decide we're going with this guy, the other goaltender will be encouraged to stay sharp, because he, in a first round series, I think we see both guys make a start.
And I would make the argument that that's not necessarily a bad thing, just given how it's gone all season for the Golden Knights in net. It's been tough in that Aiden has dealt with a lengthy injury as well as Carter has. So you want to make sure that, if you're going into the postseason with both of those guys at the helm, you don't want to put them into a scenario or a situation where, as you mentioned, if they go late into overtime or deep into overtime, that you're overtaxing the system too much. And if you believe in both guys, as I would make the argument this organization does, then you should be able to utilize both of them and feel good about it.
It's sort of the VGK way, using multiple goaltenders.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
But it's different than 2023, where they made changes because they had to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of injury.
Injury forced it.
I think this year it's to their advantage if they want to use it to their advantage. They have that sitting there in two number one goaltenders to play off of one another and be able to lean into it. And if you give a guy a little bit of a rest, and Stephen Valquette, my buddy from Clearsight Analytics, who we have on 100% Hockey, the podcast with Shanny, he says there's analytics have proven there's a point where a goaltender, no matter how well he's playing, you'll see a drop off in his game. So guys have played. Like Grant Fuhr has played 70 games, 79 games in the National Hockey League season. He wasn't great every night, but Valquette says 7 or 8 games in a row before you see eventually a dip. So maybe you cut that by a third, and you go back to another guy, and you go for him for 5 games. Or I don't see a platoon situation, but I do see flipping back and forth.
Do you worry that could lead to overthinking? Like, if
No.
you no. Because you don't see it as a platoon? Because you see it as one guy's your de facto number one, and you're just spotting in the other guy.
And the other guy becomes your de facto number one. You ride him for 5 games.
Well, wouldn't that be more of a platoon
No,
situation?
because a platoon is going like a rotation. That's what I see. There's not a rotation, a full rotation, and I'm saying using the 5 games, but it could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 4. I think you'll see both guys play in the Stanley Cup playoffs because it's the same reason. Why would you leave a great player out of the lineup if you don't have to?
That's a fair point.
Use them. These are 2 number 1 guys. We'll be back. We've got some tickets to give away for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll tell you all about that, and also why we're so excited about tomorrow's show. It's Fox Sports Las Vegas. This is the VGK Insider Show.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
I have to say that rejoin that we played earlier about the Golden Knights talking about their favorite cut of steak and how they like to cook and the conversation we had, it inspired some reaction on the text line. We'll get into it in just a little bit, but the best one, right out of the gate, Andy says, all I want is to have is Wolf tonight, although I hear it's tough. That's pretty good. I like that creativity. Thanks, Andy. We've
well
got
done. Good
some
job.
tickets to give away. The Golden Knights against Seattle.
It is the Golden Knights against Seattle. It's the final game of the season. It is the final game of the season.
If you call right now, 702-876-1340, we will give you those tickets. We will also qualify you to attend the NCAA Frozen Four.
Yes, so you will be an instant winner of the VGK Seattle tickets, and you will be entered into a drawing to potentially win tickets to the Frozen Four Hockey Championship at T-Mobile Arena on April 9th and 11th. 702-876-1340, that's the number. We're going to take caller number 4.
That's next weekend, right?
That is next weekend, yes.
NCAA Frozen Four.
Yeah. Instant winner on the VGK tickets, and you could potentially go to the Frozen Four. North Dakota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Denver, your finalists.
Let's go UND. I'm
going to go Denver.
It's fair. Good program. Very good program. A lot of success over there. Let's get into what's happening tonight in the National Hockey League and some clinching scenarios for you as it relates to the schedule. And it's not like everything just will go according to plan, but the clinching scenarios are this. And this is exciting. The Buffalo Sabres will clinch a playoff berth if they defeat the Ottawa Senators in any fashion. Or if they get at least 1 point against the Senators and the Flyers beat the Detroit Red Wings in any fashion and the Carolina Hurricanes defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets in any fashion.
Just win the game, Buffalo.
Yep.
Just win the game.
Makes it easy. Now, Buffalo, that game is already underway. They're doing their part. They're up 1-0 in the second period against the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
The Carolina Hurricanes will clinch a playoff berth if they defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets in any fashion, or if they get at least 1 point against the Blue Jackets and the Flyers defeat the Red Wings in any fashion, and the Sabres beat the Senators. So that's a win-win if Buffalo and Carolina can help out each other.
Sure.
They can really punch each other's ticket. Nobody punches tickets anymore. I realize that. You just have your ticket on your phone and you get it scanned. So both teams can scan their ticket to the playoffs.
Just win.
Yeah.
Just, again, Buffalo, just win. Carolina, just win. Win and you're in for those two teams.
Tampa Bay Lightning will clinch a playoff berth if they defeat the Pittsburgh Penguins in regulation, and all of the following occurs. The Flyers defeat the Red Wings, the Hurricanes get by the Blue Jackets, and the Sabres beat the Senators. Once again, if the Hurricanes, Sabres, and Tampa Bay Lightning win, there's a good chance Tampa Bay's in.
But Tampa, Carolina, and Buffalo just like by winning.
Right.
That's the sort of theme here. Or there's another way for Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay can get in if they beat the Penguins in regulation.
Yeah.
And the Flyers win, the Hurricanes win, and the Sabres win.
For sure. Yeah.
In that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's another way that they can get in. They defeat the Penguins in overtime or a shootout.
Okay.
And the Flyers beat the Red Wings, the Hurricanes defeat the Blue Jackets in regulation, the Sabres beat the Senators in regulation. It's wild how deep these clinching scenarios go.
It's because it's so like fresh right now. Like these are more or less like the first opportunities for these teams to clinch their spots. So there's like multiple different factors, and it's a very condensed window of teams that are still vying for playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. Everyone's right there next to each other. As we wear on, like if Buffalo loses, if Carolina loses, not seemingly likely, if Tampa loses, you would think that the next opportunities they have to clinch will not have 1,700 conditions on what needs to also happen outside of just winning their games.
No clinching scenarios in the Western Conference tonight. I find it interesting. Buffalo and Tampa can both clinch tonight, but they're not tied.
No.
Like Buffalo's ahead of Tampa and hasn't clinched, but they're 2 points separate the clubs in the Atlantic Division, but they can both clinch on the same night. Like if you're taking a test in high school, that's one of those trick questions. How does that happen?
Yeah.
And I'm for sure challenging that.
Yeah, it does seem
it's a mathematical oddity.
Yeah, it does seem like it's at odds with, what the factors are. But, again, with Tampa, in order to clinch, like a lot of things have to happen as well. Like they've got to win, and they need some help in other areas. So that part of it makes sense to me. I just like the Sabres. Have the clearest condition to clinching. Win your game. Carolina, win your game. Just do that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to think about all the different factors that will go into it if you don't end up winning, and singular points and winning in overtime and all these things. Just go and win your game. Come on.
The race for the final playoff spot in the East is intriguing because everybody's like what's happened in the wild card race in the West. Everybody's kind of gone cold lately. Mm-hmm. And that in the West, it's allowed Winnipeg, who's one of the few teams that's been playing on a significant percentage of points in the bank. It's allowed them to get back into it. But in the East, like Columbus is lately from a points perspective. Ottawa Senators, we're going great. They've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And in danger of falling again tonight. Detroit, only 3 wins in their last 10. They lost 2 in a row. Philadelphia, good, better to get within 2 points, but they lost their last game in disappointing fashion, and they've got a challenge tonight. Washington is a team that I thought was out of it, but because everybody else has slowed down and Washington's won 3 in a row, the Capitals have a mathematical chance. They win tonight, and they can get within reach of a playoff spot. They're 3 points back right now. Now, not everybody's going to fall in front of you, lose in front of you, but they could be within 2 points, mm-hmm. as close as 1, but probably within 2 points of a playoff spot if they're victorious tonight.
What's your read on who makes the playoffs in the East?
I have no idea. And anybody that tries to tell me that they have a grasp on it, they're absolutely making it up. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you know what, I think the Senators. I like the Senators. I like the Senators in the second half of the season.
Sure.
To get in there. I like the makeup of their team. I'm not totally sold on Allmark's play, but I do like. Now they've suffered a couple of injuries,
But that was the team that I thought would be able to hold on and get in, more so than the Boston Bruins. Boston's impressed me.
Sure.
What they've been high, up and down all year. But what they've done lately in winning 4 in a row,
right,
and timing it right, they've been able to put points. They've gotten points in 9 of their last 10.
Right,
huge opportunity by the Boston Bruins, and they're not just a lock for a wild card. They've still got a chance to finish in a top 3 position in the Eastern or the Atlantic Division. They're only a couple of points behind the Montreal Canadiens tonight. So there's still things to be settled there. And in the Metropolitan Division, it's still impacted
outside of Carolina.
Well,
it's hard to tell.
Everybody's, if you look at Pittsburgh, they're second in the Metro.
Yeah,
but they're just trying to hold on to a playoff spot because they've got a 6-point lead on a playoff spot over Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not home and cooled right now. They're in a good spot. They're these last couple of wins by Pittsburgh have been huge, but it's still murky as far as who's going to actually hold on. Now, Buffalo's gonna get in. Are they going to be a division champion? I don't know because Tampa Bay will have something to say about that. Carolina is going to win the Metro. But the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders could end up being wild card teams. Mm-hmm. Either one of them could be a wild card team, and right now they're top 3. It's fascinating to watch. And in the West, your top 3 in the Central looks like it's settled. It's going to be Colorado, and then Dallas will have home ice against Minnesota. But Colorado has no clue who they're going to play in a first round against Wild Card 2. And in the Pacific, Vegas wins tonight. They will get within 3 points of first place Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
And if Edmonton wins tonight, they're tied for first place. If they lose, Edmonton's knocking on the door of second with an opportunity to take second on the weekend.
Yeah.
And really close the gap on Anaheim. Anaheim's dropping points in the last couple shows their youth.
Sure.
They're and they've done a good job of pulling out games and winning games. But they are young and fun.
Yeah.
But they're not
to be expected.
They're not a team that has the experience to be able to close out games.
And that's part of the thing for me when it comes to the Pacific Division, and everyone's talking about, for the Golden Knights specifically, like get in, right? Get into the postseason. If Anaheim drops to second place, the Golden Knights are able to close that gap. If you end up opening the playoffs against the Anaheim Ducks, given that they are a young team that has not been in this position before, it sets up a path that is clearly defined. So go out, take care of your business, win, and let the chips fall after that in the postseason.
I'll paint a scenario. That's hypothetical.
Okay.
Actually slips to second in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas finishes third.
Yeah.
Edmonton wins the division. And Edmonton hasn't won a division since the late 80s, early 90s. It's crazy how long it's been since they've won a division. Just the way things have gone up. But say it's Vegas against Anaheim. First round, Anaheim has home ice advantage. The celebration in Anaheim for that first game of the playoffs will be spectacular. Mm-hmm. They deserve it, being back in the playoffs. And Anaheim opening at home would be fun for that group. But would you be able to catch them off guard because of so much happening? It's why home openers or Stanley Cup openers when they're banner raising nights are so unpredictable because everybody's thinking about everything else other than the game. Might not be a bad thing to open. I wouldn't be intimidated by Vegas opening on the road against Anaheim because of everything, where Anaheim's come from, and it'd be so new for them.
It's a new experience. They're a young team. They want to run and gun. They haven't been able to protect leads and close out games late. Like, there's opportunity there to do what you want to do as the team starting on the road in the playoffs, and that's earn a split. If you can win both games, even better. But if you can earn a split and you've got an inexperienced team then coming on the road needing to win games, understanding how much the Golden Knights have been through this stuff before, again, there's a clear path there. You just got to get to it.
I've got potential Vegas opponents in the first round, down to 4.
Okay. Edmonton, Anaheim.
Sorry, three matchups. Anaheim, Edmonton, and Utah. I don't think it gets beyond that. Los Angeles could end up passing Utah, so there's that potential. But I think it's clearer for Vegas that they'll play one of those 3 teams, and they could have home ice advantage. They could win another Pacific Division title. They could finish second. But I think Vegas is locked into one of those top 3 spots based on their schedule and strength of schedule, and Utah with a 4-point lead right now over wild card 2 to get into that first wild card position. I'm comfortable saying that. Not ready to declare the winner in the third district, but that's where I see it sorting out.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense in my head. I don't feel like the Golden Knights are going to fall to wild card 2 or into a wild card spot. I just don't.
LA would
be
the team that could surprise you in the sense they've got this homestand. Can they make some hay? And they're on Anze Kopitar, by the way, tonight.
Yeah.
For the all-time leading point producer. Our buddy Alec Martinez is going to be on the ice with my pal Jared Stoll to present the gifts. So I just talked to Marty. He was rolling into Crypto.com Arena.
Yeah, I think LA certainly has the potential, as you mentioned, with the homestand. But, I mean, I'm not sleeping on San Jose just yet. They have won 3 games in a row. They do have 2 games in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights.
But I don't see them getting into wild card 2.
No.
Sorry, wild card 1 and the Utah position.
No, not at all. But my concern, or the part that I'm trying to lean into here, is that LA could go on a run, San Jose can go on a run. The Golden Knights have to take care of their own business, because if they don't, and those 2 teams do, then you could fall to that second wild card spot.
The VGK schedule tells me they're going to be fine in a top 3 spot.
Yeah.
Sabres Senators tied up right now in the second intermission. Matthias Samuelsson and Dylan Cousins, the goal scorers there. Tampa Bay Lightning rolling over the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4-2 after 2 periods. Tampa Bay, that might be the battle for Coach of the Year. Tampa Bay and Buffalo. The fight for first place in the Atlantic. John Cooper deserves a Coach of the Year. Lindy Ruff's team is back in the playoffs, and that's going to get a lot of, oh, that's so beautiful, it's wonderful, they're back in, we should give it to Lindy Ruff. John Cooper, did anybody see Tampa Bay winning the Atlantic? It was supposed to be Toronto. It was supposed to be the Ottawa Senators challenging for that division title this year.
And they've battled some
Florida.
injuries.
Yeah.
They've battled some injuries along the way as well. Like, key players have been out at various times. I mean, listen, if you're asking me my opinion on who I think should be Coach of the Year, I think the best coach should win Coach of the Year, and that's John Cooper. But all that being said, it'll probably be Lindy, because the Buffalo Sabres have done something they haven't done in a decade and a half, and that's make the playoffs.
Golden Knights will try to make it 2 straight wins over with John Tortorella behind the bench. Another Pacific Division battle tonight against the Calgary Flames. Carter Hart will start in goal. Mitch Marner will center that line with Ivan Barbashev and Mark Stone. And things just feel a lot more normal tonight for Torts.
Yeah, sure, it should. Obviously, he's got an opportunity in front of him, or he had an opportunity the last couple of days to just kind of get himself back into rhythm, back into the fold. And so now it's a little bit more normal for everyone involved, Torts and the players.
Eric says the schedule does look advantageous for Vegas. However, look at what happened last night in Denver. You're right. Vancouver Canucks put up a snowman
as my buddy Eddie Olczyk said on the air, on the Colorado Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
There is no guarantee. These are unpredictable games. We turn things over to the pregame show with Ryan Wallace. Looking forward to tomorrow. We are going to play for $1,100 on the Paul Padala Hockey Parlay Contest. That will happen at some point during the 2-hour edition of the Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Enjoy tonight's game, Calgary against Vegas, on Fox Sports. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Insider Show.